previously on LA Shrinks.
A lot of people think therapists live these perfect lives without any problems.
I want a baby.
I think you stay on the pill.
This is all bullshit. I'm done. We're human beings. I want to get my implants out.
Dad, leave them the way they are.
Everybody's up in their own personal way.
Why do you want Dad at the wedding? He's an asshole.
Have you ever gotten in a fight with a fat person?
This one fat kid I remember used to beat the hell out of me.
Matthew's business often takes him out of town. So when he comes home, it's a nice feeling. Wow, I love this man.
Boil them until they're al dente.
Did you throw it against the wall to make sure that it was
To make sure it
stick on
sticks.
something?
Let's check that out.
Oh my God.
I think it's ready to eat. That's al dente. That's how you eat that lasagna.
Dude, you Italians actually eat this stuff.
It gives me an enormous amount of joy to see my father and my husband together. They're very different, but very much alike. Like, Matthew's the vanilla version of a Joe.
How many cloves of garlic, Dean, you're supposed to put in?
2.
I put 4.
4?
Because that's good for your pecker.
My dad is really Yo Philly. Dark, Italian, guinea tea. He's a character.
Did you hear this news flash about my daughter? She wants to get them implants taken out.
Dad, why can't we have personal discussions between you and me?
I'm sorry, Veen, but he is your husband.
I know. Dad. I talked to my father about it. He doesn't get too heady or complex about it. He just says, well, that's a choice you made, now live with it. Some way, I suppose. It is a choice that I made, and I will have to live with it, but that doesn't mean I can't do anything else about it.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that, Matthew?
I might say I'm not a huge fan of that suggestion.
Would you love me less?
I wouldn't love you less,
How about you tell her if the tits go, then you go?
Joe.
That would never happen.
I think if she's going for breast reduction, she should go in for a ball reduction, too.
Oh, Doc.
Hi.
Nice to
Great
see you
to
again,
see
man.
you.
Likewise, man.
Come on, sit down.
Okay.
So, Christopher, do you know where you are?
It's some kind of fat camp. I see a lot of fat people walking around, so I don't know.
Christopher's here to address his issues and prejudices with people who are overweight.
That's sort of the old name, Fat Camp or Fat Farm. You remember in our last session, we talked about how you grew up and you experienced bullying by someone who was overweight.
Right.
But what we want to do today is give you a different learning experience.
Active therapy for Christopher is to expose him to his anxiety about being with people who are overweight.
There's going to be a lot of fat people here.
We will be around people who are overweight, absolutely.
Okay.
Christopher now believes that by telling people that they're fat to their face, that will cause them to want to go on a diet and lose weight. That is bullshit. So how you feeling, Christopher?
A bit nervous, but at the same time, I'm excited. I wanna face this.
Let's go. Right on.
The biggest hope I could have would be for Christopher to have empathy for these people who are overweight, to be able to walk in their shoes. The minute you have empathy, you start to see the world from an entirely different angle.
Laura.
Hi, Dr. Welcome.
Good to see you. Starbuck, Christopher. Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Lori's our wellness coach.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Let's talk a little bit, if we can, Christopher, about why you're here.
I have this problem that I'm trying to, work on. I have this thing about fat people that I don't like. I just can't see how you could, like, let yourself go. Like, you got a mirror, you got a scale.
I wonder what it was like for you just to hear Christopher talk. I mean, just then.
Yeah,
What was your
what
experience?
struck me was I guess the use of the word fat, so using heavy or overweight.
What is it like when someone calls you fat?
I don't really hear people call me fat because maybe I choose not to. I look in the mirror and I don't see myself as fat.
What would you call that, though? Like, a denial, right?
We could call it denial, but I think that we do have an image that we hold from a certain point in our lives that we just always look in the mirror and we expect to see that person.
I still sometimes look in the mirror and see the girl 40 pounds ago. And it's hard.
I'd be devastated.
It is devastating because I've worked so hard to get where I am. And yet people will still remind me on a daily basis how far I still have to go. You know, you're in a setting where everybody else is much thinner than you are, and you're reaching for, you know, a piece of chocolate or a chip or whatever it might be, and somebody gives you that look like, ooh, should you really be eating that? I mean, it is one of the most awful feelings you could ever have.
I used to weigh about 30, 35 pounds more than I do now. So I know what it's like to be heavier.
We really need to help people become healthier for them. That's what's going to motivate them. When somebody says something derogatory to you or calls you fat, does that help you to go on a journey of losing weight or go on a journey...
That's how you pile on 40 pounds.
That's how you
in
pile on 40
a
pounds.
short amount of time.
All you guys say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not motivating.
You're not helping.
There's no amount of weight that you can't lose. You just gotta eat less. You just eat less.
A lot of times you can eat the right food, but it's too much of the right food, or it's the improper combinations of food. If you eat too many carbs at night, you're retaining 10 times more water than if you had stopped eating those carbohydrates at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's scary that you're so knowledgeable of all that stuff and you're still fat.
Hi. Come on back. There's a total lack of communication with this couple. Last week, Kimberly had an explosion. She left in the middle of the session.
I have been showing you more attention. I don't sit there and like dwell on it.
Neil, you are not hearing what she's saying.
She wants me to kiss her and to hug her and to everything else, do that more, right?
This is all bullshit. I'm done.
Kimberly didn't get emotional support and love from her parents. So the minute she met Neil, she thought, oh my God, I finally met somebody who was gonna fix all of that.
I'm a whack job when I'm PMSing.
There was a lot more than just PMS happening, so I don't want you to blame yourself. He was mocking you, and your feelings were not being validated. That's what I was seeing.
Well, hold on a second here. Got to the point where it was like, I felt like this is getting a little ridiculous, and I was getting annoyed, and it gets to the point where like, okay, well, what do you want me to do?
See, this is where this is the therapy. And what you guys need is that emotional connection.
Definitely. A lot of the issues that we have, I think, stem from her upbringing, and with my upbringing as well. I didn't have a mom growing up. When I was 11, my mom passed away. I didn't know how to deal with it. I just held it in.
Neil's been emotionally detached since his mother's death because nobody ever taught him that it was okay to feel. So Neil doesn't have the tools to express his feelings. Neil, this little boy inside of you has a lot to say. This little boy was never heard. He's stuck. And he was never able to express his emotions after his mom died. And that is what's going on with you guys right now and not being able to connect. And this is the bridge to get you guys together, okay? So that little boy needs to have his voice. What is it that you need Kimberly to hear?
Just understanding who I am as a person. You know, that sometimes it's harder for me to open up emotionally to you, and just to know that I'm trying. There's the little boy stuck inside of me. It's still, you know, was growing up with a mom, and everything was perfect. You know, after my mom passed away, that little boy kind of was stuck inside. And so sometimes he'll come out, and sometimes he hides.
Lack of communication is the #1 issue with couples. It depends on your childhood and how your parents communicated and how you were taught to communicate. And if they didn't teach you properly, then you don't know how to communicate as an adult in a relationship. I have an exercise that I want you to do. Kimberly, I want you to say, what I heard you say is...
What I understand you say is that you're not always emotional, and that you're a little boy. You're a little boy. I'm sorry. This side of you, this inner child, that just kills me. That just kills me. And for me, looking at it, it's gonna be so good, Neil. It's gonna be good.
Kimberly finally got to see her husband in a different light, and it took the weight off of her so they could meet one another on an emotional level. And that's what Kimberly had been waiting for all along. And now she finally gets to understand her husband. When you're at home, when you're not in here, and there's something that you need Neil to hear, I need for you to have that moment where you say, Neil, this is really important to me. I need for you to hear me. And then you repeat back to her exactly what you're hearing her say so that she can feel validated. And the same for you. You know, when you need to be heard, or if there's something really important for you, that she can repeat it back to you. That is a really good exercise for you guys to use. So it was never about the sex with Kimberly and Neil. It was about an emotional connection and learning how to emotionally connect with one another.
Coming up, all I see right now is a fat, chubby girl. I can't help it.
The ultimate goal is to have a wife that looks like you whenever I'm 50.
Well, you're not going to get one because a wife like me is telling you you're an ass.
All I see right now is a fat, chubby girl.
My boyfriend, he's even skinnier than you.
Okay.
He loves me.
Fat girls are attracted to skinny guys, though.
I feel bad for you that you have that perception of somebody who's an absolutely beautiful person, but in your mind, they're ugly because they're fat. And I hope that you can get over that.
I mean, I just think it's...
You think that's the problem. You're thinking, but what are you feeling right now, Chris? What's the feeling? What's the emotion that you're having right now?
I still feel that no amount of weight that can't be lost.
You've really worked hard to be where you are as far as your health and fitness. If you were to have done all of that and you were still overweight, how might that feel
I'd kill myself.
for you?
Are you serious?
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Why would you kill yourself? Why would that
I couldn't handle that. That's what I'm saying. If I actually was trying to lose weight and it wasn't working, I couldn't handle that.
Okay,
So
in
would
fact,
you feel better if I wasn't here right now because I had gotten to the point that I wanted to kill myself? And I am so glad that it didn't go over the edge because my foot was hanging out there.
What's your health like right now?
You don't care about my health, though. You care about the fact that I'm fat.
do you see what you're expressing that's actually a form of prejudice?
I can't help it.
People can't help prejudice?
That's why I'm in therapy.
Right.
Because I'm trying to get over this. I'm on a journey, too. Like
Absolutely.
all these guys.
And that's something that we'll continue to work with, but I think coming here and talking to all of you and hearing your experience was invaluable, so thank you so very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
What we're doing with Christopher is working. It just may not happen immediately.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and prejudice isn't knocked down in a day. What impresses me about you is you admit to a prejudice that is not working for you and actually hurts other people, and we want to keep working on that.
That little bit of commitment, that little bit of change can make all the difference.
Julie, it's bath time. Wanna go take a bath? No, it's okay. It's okay. Good boy. Good boy, Julie.
Yeah, buddy.
It's tough psychologically on me, that body image issues that I've had.
When we first got it.
Going through this journey, Clayton really saw that it was a big deal, and he became really sensitive to that, and that meant the world to me. Stay down. Stay down. Oh, boy. Yeah. You got it? Yeah. This is taking us one step closer to becoming parents, to being able to have a baby.
Oh, boy. We act like that.
We act like
you know. I know there's a lot more responsibility when it comes to having a kid, but there are similarities, that's for sure.
Good boy. All right. So I realized that he really does want to be a dad, and Clayton's going to be a great dad.
Come on, let's get dry. Let's do it.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Come on in.
You're gorgeous. You are the most gorgeous doctor I have ever seen.
Thank you.
Gosh.
You know, when clients come in and they talk about my physical appearance, I feel it's just a way for them to get away from their issues. Guess what? It doesn't matter. This is what we're going to focus on. Moving on.
Moving on, yes.
What brought you here?
I am addicted to online dating.
What makes you think you're addicted to online dating?
I do it all the time.
Okay.
I do it all the time because there's so many good-looking girls on there.
How many people have you seen or dated online?
A good 3 to 5 a week.
How many do you sleep with?
Maybe all of them.
Okay. You sleep with all of them?
If they're attractive, yeah. Yeah.
Bullshit. You're not sleeping with all your dates. I have no evidence of that except my own instinct. He might want to, but I don't think that he does. We're going to throw out that you have an addiction, because I don't think you do.
Okay.
A lot of people use that terminology, and I think they use it incorrectly, and I think they use it as a way to beat up themselves, and maybe sometimes even excuse their behavior. The internet is the perfect place to be the ass you don't have the guts to be in real life. It's a way to distance yourself. It's a way to not be intimate and not be a part of the process. Are you addicted to sex?
That's one thing I can tell you I'm definitely not.
Okay.
Because I've turned down a lot of good-looking ladies.
The persona, the suave, I take these women out, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy an iota of it. It feels very stereotypical because that's what's highlighted for men and what might be considered cool, but it's a costume. I want to know, when did you lose your virginity?
20.
So you waited till you were 20, because I have a feeling you probably had opportunities.
Yeah, I had opportunities.
Okay.
It was like an experiment, you know? It was just like, oh, okay, so that's what it's like.
No connection with this person?
A little bit, yeah.
How often do you have sex with no connection?
As far as like a deep spiritual connection, not so much.
I think it's a fear of being vulnerable and being judged.
Being masculine, I like someone who's more submissive.
As a culture, we see vulnerability as a character flaw. We don't see it as a strength.
But personality is a big issue for me. I don't want to waste my time with somebody who's boring, you know what I mean?
I see being vulnerable as a great strength. You can't love if you can't be vulnerable.
This one girl, I said, do you think farts are funny? And her reaction based on that, I was like, you and I are cool. If it's like, what are you talking about? No, I'll delete the number right there.
So they need to be in line with your humor.
Correct. If I ever get married, which I don't think I want to, they're going to think I'm hilarious, because that's the only way we'll get along. I don't like when girls think they're, like, cooler than me. Like, I'm cool. I'm cooler than you. They're like, oh, why is this guy talking to me? You know, I'm cool. That's why I'm talking to you.
Them.
Exactly.
You're so cool.
Exactly.
Okay. Dude, you're just an asshole. I'm trying so hard to like you. I want to like you. Help me like you.
The ultimate goal is to have a wife that looks like you whenever I'm
But you're not going to get one because a wife like me is telling you you're an asshole.
No.
Come on. Coming up.
Should we have split up after 7 years?
Well, we might if we get married. That's my concern.
They have locked me into that stereotype.
Oversexed, hot mess. Let's button up this problem.
Okay. So the problem is I want love. This is love. And this is freedom.
Okay.
That's my problem. I want both.
You want both?
And I kind of feel like it's a trait of a masculine man, of freedom, you know? I gotta be free, I gotta be single forever, you know? I know a lot of guys like that, and it's typically masculine men who are...
Dude, man, you tell yourself a whole bunch of lies. I don't even know how to unravel
You don't think that's true?
this.
You don't think that's true?
No! Shane doesn't want to be intimate. He declares how much he wants to be in love, but I don't know if that's true. That is your cool way of letting me know that you don't think you're worthy of love.
Maybe not worthy. I feel I'm worthy, but afraid would be a better word.
Okay, it's not about, this masculine thing and you're
I
gonna
do
be
feel
free.
that way, though. I really do feel that way.
You might feel that way, but it's a lie. I don't care how you feel. I care about what you do. I don't care if you feel that way. I care about what you do.
You think that's a lie to myself?
For sure. I think you tell yourself that in case she rejects you. So that you're in control of that scenario. Shane is coming to me because he wants to develop the skill of being vulnerable. And it is a skill. It's a skill that we learn and relearn. We're vulnerable. We get stomped on. We're not vulnerable. It's a cyclical process that we go through.
The desire that I have to be single, I don't know what it is, to not be tied down to anybody. That is a true desire of mine. But then sometimes when you're lonely, you're like, man, I wish I had a girlfriend, you know?
Look, I totally understand I guess I can understand some of the enticement you might find in being single, because you just said it, things feed your ego. How was this one person supposed to feed all of those needs? And you have a lot of them. That's a big job for her. It's an enormous job of having to feed your ego, and I'm wondering if you just feel that one person can't do that.
Delicious. This sake is really strong. Oh, good. Do we have profound conversations?
Do we have profound conversations?
And deep conversations?
I would say in the last 24 years, yes, we've had one or two. Yes, I would think so.
You know that the average length of a marriage varies anywhere from like 7 to 11 years. It's very brief.
Should we split up after 7 years?
Well, we might if we get married. That's my concern. It seems like people who get married are often setting on this path to life, and who has been together 23 years and then gets married? Usually you've been together 23 years and then you get divorced. Actually, this whole wedding thing is actually bringing up a lot of stress for me. I'm having a lot of stress about our marriage, of course, and about the issue with my father. I know this has something to do with the deeper part of my own, so I just need to man up and deal with that. Unfortunately, I ended with my previous therapist, but I'm really thinking because of all the stress that I need to meet with someone new, so I got a referral for someone and I'm going to try him out on Thursday.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, let's hope it works out.
One thing I've never been accused of is having too much hubris and thinking I can handle everything. In fact, I veer a little bit more on the insecure side, so I often look to other people and ask for help. Do I look like a therapist at home?
No. Thank God.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.
So why are you here? What I'm hoping to get out of the therapy sessions that we do is having you help me attract the kind of man that I want. Someone that is fabulous and values me and sees me and understands me.
Your
Yeah,
life.
that's
See it
what
in
I've
you.
always tried to attract. It just hasn't always worked out that way.
I mean, hello? The way she dresses, and the makeup she wears, and the hair, and the boobs. She's trying to look like a Barbie doll. Let's talk about these men that you attract. What do they see you as?
Sex symbol. Playboy model. Breasts, ass, hair. I think that about sums it up.
Have you had any plastic surgery?
Yes, I have. I've had my breasts done twice.
Did you get them bigger the second time?
I did. It was fun. I've always liked big boobs. If I had been lucky enough to have natural big boobs, I wouldn't have gotten a boob job, but I wasn't blessed with that one. I actually had my ears pulled back. I hated my ears when I was younger. I hated them. I never wanted to wear my hair up. I was so jealous of my girlfriends that had those cute little ears. Did something about it. $4,000 later.
Right. It definitely all comes down to body image. I was the same as Katie when I was in my 20s, being insecure. I got implants because my boyfriend at the time said I would look perfect. So, do you think a certain man is attracted to the bigger boobs, the bigger fake boobs as well?
I know men that only like fake boobs. If your boobs are real, he's not interested.
So you're comfortable with it?
I'm very comfortable with it. I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't comfortable. I didn't do it for somebody. I did it for me.
Katie wants everybody to love her for who she is. But that's like ignoring the pink elephant in the room. Men are gonna see what she looks like on the external. I mean, that's just the facts, people. So if you're out and about meeting men, if they're just going to see the external of you made up with the big boobs, with a lot of makeup on, with the curls, dressed in this provocative way, you're going to attract the wrong kind of guy, the guy that you don't want to attract.
But I will know that he is the wrong kind of person.
You'll know that. But the goal is for you to attract a different kind of guy. So maybe there's a way for you to look that's still beautiful and sexy, but it might put a different image out there. Because men are visual. That's what they are. You know, they're just going to see like this hot babe that they want to go bang. And you want somebody that's going to take you for something so much deeper. What's going on with you right now?
Coming up, how do these look? That's my new boobs.
Oh, you're getting new ones?
I'm thinking about getting rid of the old ones permanently.
Why?
Why?
Tell me a little bit about you. What would you like to know? What kind of therapist are you?
Men are visual. You know, they're just going to see like this hot babe that they want to go bang. What's going on with you right now?
I'm disappointed because they have locked me into that stereotype. And I just hate it when that happens. They had to lock me into that oversexed, mindless, hot mess that is so detached from reality. There's not much more to you than what meets the eye. So,
I know, and it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
She's attracting the men with the same type of behaviors and the same patterns, and she keeps experiencing a painful end, then it's not about the guys she's attracting. It's about her. I want to help you strip it down. Because I know the kind of men that are quality men, and they would like to see you. If I hear people just complaining and bitching about everybody else, it's like, look at your self in the mirror for a second.
I don't mind stripping the makeup off and whatnot, but usually, you know, in the beginning, it's kind of like, you know, I want to look pretty.
Right, but what if you're prettier without it all?
I am prettier without all of it. I'm the prettiest when I step out of the shower and my hair is completely wet and I have not a stitch of makeup on.
That is when you're going to attract the man you want to ultimately be with.
Yeah.
There are some similarities between Katie getting implants and me originally getting implants, because you're wanting to fit a certain stereotype and feel sexual. But the thing is, the breast implants aren't going to get you the relationship that you dream of. I mean, I'm getting my relationship that I dream of now with deformed breast. I'm interested to see you without all of this external. Say, when you go to Starbucks.
I have no makeup on. I'm wearing, you know, sweatpants that have Tinkerbell on them and a tank top. My hair is usually pulled up in a clip, and I'm wearing tennis shoes.
Would you ever come to therapy comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I would.
Okay. She has so much work that needs to be done from within. You know, it's like, what's going to fix me here? Okay, I'll put more makeup on. Oh, I'll get my boobs bigger. Oh, I'll be skinnier. I'll be more perfect. That is what a control freak does. I want to know what the control is all about. I want to see you. Because if you're working on with me, like, to get the relationship that you want, then I want to know you.
What's up, babe?
Hey, Kate. How are you? Clayton is my dearest, dearest friend. He's part owner of Plantation, which is a design furniture store. And I go there about once a week. And we meet there, we chat. Can I show your bathroom?
You know where it is?
All right, I'll be back. I met Clayton when I was 13 years old. We've been inseparable ever since. Clayton! Clayton!
What?
There's no toilet paper!
What do you want me to do about it?
Clayton and I are from the mean streets of Philly.
Here.
We have an incredible deep history together. He's part of my family. How do these look? That's my new boobs.
Oh, you're getting new ones?
I'm thinking about getting rid of the old ones. Permanently.
Why?
Why?
You got them in the first place.
Oh my God, you sound like my father.
No, if I sound like your father, I'd be all, Venus!
So I told my dad, and he said, you made that decision, and now you gotta live with that. And I don't think that's true.
I don't think you have to live with it. You can do whatever you want. I think you should get them smaller.
Thank you.
I don't know how you carried all that around this long.
Thank you.
Without tipping over.
You're the only one who feels my pain. You tell women they should be emaciated and somehow have all of this roundness up top. It perpetuates a stereotype that I no longer want to be a part of. And that's really the bottom line.
What does Matt think about that?
He's very hands-on.
Daddy's hands-on. We'll see what happens after you lose the boobs. Whatever his hand's gonna be on that.
He'll have to love me for my mind.
Oh. So, what brings you in?
I've got some issues, primarily with dealing with my family. I've decided to see a therapist to talk about the issues with my father because I really need an objective eye to be able to help me work through some of the concerns I'm having. I had ended with my previous therapist, and I'd seen him for many years. So maybe if you could tell me a little bit about you, that would be helpful.
What would you like to know?
Well, I mean, all the basic things a therapist might want to know, like where'd you go to school and, you know, what kind of therapist are you? It's hard for one therapist to see another, and I, for one, am quite judgmental about how other people do therapy.
Okay, I went to USC.
Okay.
And,
what was your major at USC? What was the...
What we're doing here is therapy. What brings you,
what was your, well, because I know, because I have a PhD.
Right.
So, in counseling psychology. So what program were you?
Counseling.
Counseling?
In the educational counseling department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all very important because I'm a psychologist, you know.
So you want to know who you're talking to?
Well, absolutely. Here's what I'm going through right now with us in here. I felt like you were defensive at the beginning when I was asking you about your education and stuff. I mean, that's such a natural question.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think I was a little bit. I didn't want to be in the position where I was the patient or where you were asking all the questions.
Yeah, I actually tried to look up, and your education was very vague. It just said USC PhD, and that could be a PhD in anything. So that's why I felt like it was important to ask.
Sure. There's a part of me that wants to really respect what you're saying and let you know whatever you want to know about me and be as transparent as I possibly can be. Mm-hmm. And yet I know that we have limited time, so I don't want to... I want to leave enough time for us to focus on what the real... why you're here today, aside from... I get that we need to establish rapport, but how do you feel about moving forward and kind of getting back to where we were?
We can continue. I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to have a wedding coming up in about 3-4 weeks. I mean, it's very, very soon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think...
I'm going to cut you off right there. When you said that, I noticed your voice cracked. Were you aware of that?
Well, I'm a little phlegmy today, and I just had lunch, actually. That's the honest.
Do you have any feelings about the wedding coming up?
Yeah, I'm nervous about it for the reason I was about to say, actually.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no. I would like my whole family to be there.
Makes perfect sense.
Even though they may not all want to be in the same place at the same time. Everything centers around, unfortunately, my father, and he is, he's the catalyst for much of this.
When I was growing up, my father used physical force as punishment frequently. He says he doesn't remember that stuff, which is very difficult to hear because it's a little surprising when you're a child to think that it was that unimportant to them, but it was terror and horror for you on a daily basis. Whenever I see my dad, I'll never forget the man he was to me. That man will never go away. Even when he stopped using implements like the belt, he still moved to his open hand or to the fist or just throwing me against a wall. Now when I try to have a relationship with him, I have to deal with those images. So I have to figure out a way to do that. This was a circumstance that all of us in the family experienced, and this is why the family doesn't want to come.
So he hasn't taken responsibility for any of it yet?
No, he says he doesn't remember anything. So I think it's difficult for someone to take responsibility when they don't.
And it's difficult to remember things when you don't want to take responsibility for them either.
Coming up.
I was just unfortunate to have experienced what I did.
I don't love being a doctor. I don't. I have a love-hate relationship with sitting in another room with a person listening to their bullshit. You don't have to love your work. Find meaning in what you do. And you'll find meaning everywhere.
My father used physical force as punishment frequently. He says he doesn't remember anything. So I think it's difficult for someone to take responsibility when they don't.
And it's difficult to remember things when you don't want to take responsibility for them either.
You know what? His upbringing was worse than mine. I think in addition to overt abuse when he was a child, he experienced a great deal of neglect as well. So...
You have a lot of pain for him.
Well, yeah. You know, we all hurt.
And people who hurt people.
Oh, yes. Yes. I know. It's probably a big reason I didn't want to have children, because I didn't want to ever do that to another person. Ever. I've never wanted kids. But earlier in our relationship, Kevin wanted kids, so we had issues with that. I did not expect this issue to come up. I should have. I really should have. I had a belief that I would be okay, that this issue could stay dormant. Unfortunately, it got reignited.
Yeah. So. And unfortunately, or fortunately, this is something you're going to have to deal with now.
I've entered the dark tunnel. I'm going to have to go one way or the other. But I got to get out of it.
You got it.
If I can understand that he was a victim, and that I was just unfortunate to have experienced what I did.
Yes, you were, my friend. Well, this is where we do have to come to a close, and maybe we'll pick up here next time.
God, always in the last minute, huh?
Next on LA Shrinks, my female friends want to be my sex slave.
What? I'd like to get my eggs tested, and I'd like for you to get your sperm tested. Would you be cool if my mom came with us?
You think I'm a jerk?
No, but I in situations when you're nervous, I wouldn't put it past you.
I would love to have it at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
A wedding at a cemetery, it's like celebrating the death of our sex life.
Are you kidding me?
The problem I had was more the physical abuse. And
Spanking you?
more than that.
you're absolutely correct, and there's no misperception on your part at all.
Not about those things.
Film at 11.